10 Most Underrated Characters in The Big Bang Theory and Spinoffs. When people think of The Big Bang Theory, names like Sheldon, Leonard, Penny, Howard, Raj, Amy, and Bernadette dominate the conversation. The show's main cast earned iconic status, and young Sheldon as well as the new Georgie and Mandy spinoff continue to expand the universe. Yet across its 12 seasons and multiple offshoots, the franchise introduced plenty of characters who, despite not getting the spotlight, made vital contributions to storylines, humor, and emotional depth. Some were one-off gems, while others lingered on the fringes, overshadowed by the leads. Here are 10 of the most underrated characters in the Big Bang Theory universe, who deserve far more recognition than they usually get. 1. Beverly Hofstadter, Leonard's mother. Christine Baranski's portrayal of Beverly Hofstadter is one of the most memorable guest performances in sitcom history. A cold, hyper-rational neuroscientist, Beverly offers a funhouse mirror version of what Sheldon could become if he never developed any emotional awareness. Her relationship with Leonard is heartbreaking, as she constantly undermines him, making his quest for affection from Penny all the more powerful. Why underrated? Despite stealing every scene she appears in, Beverly is usually treated as comic relief rather than a character with layers. Her complicated bond with Leonard, highlighting the damage of neglectful parenting, is rarely appreciated in the same way Sheldon's childhood trauma is in young Sheldon. Beverly is both hilarious and tragic, and the franchise never fully tapped her potential. 2. Stuart Bloom, the comic book store owner. Stuart is technically a recurring character, but his long-running presence makes him practically part of the main group. Awkward, self-deprecating, and perpetually unlucky in love and business, Stuart could have easily been written as a flat caricature. Instead, Kevin Sussman infused him with vulnerability that made him relatable. Over time, Stuart became the group's honorary member, babysitting Howard and Bernadette's kids, attending group dinners, and offering a perspective outside the main cast's dynamic. Why underrated? Stuart's character development often flew under the radar. Fans saw him evolve from a sad sack loner into someone who found stability and happiness. He's a reminder that even in a show about brilliant minds, ordinary people with insecurities have a place. 3. Leslie Winkle, Sarah Gilbert. In the show's early seasons, Leslie Winkle felt like the anti-Sheldon, a physicist who could match his intellect, cut him down with biting sarcasm, and even date Leonard. Leslie had the potential to be a long-term foil. Unfortunately, she was phased out after a handful of appearances. Why underrated? Leslie brought balance to the male-dominated world of Caltech. Unlike Amy or Bernadette, she wasn't written as a nurturing counterpart. She was brash, direct, and refused to let the guys' nerdy arrogance go unchecked. Had she stayed longer, Leslie could have offered a fascinating rival dynamic for Sheldon and a different relationship path for Leonard. 4. Mrs. Wolowitz, Debbie Wolowitz. Howard's mother was never physically shown, yet her off-screen presence was unforgettable. With her booming voice, smothering personality, and endless demands, Mrs. Wolowitz provided a comedic backbone to Howard's character arc. Why underrated? It's easy to dismiss her as just a running gag, but she was crucial in shaping Howard's personality, his immaturity, dependence, and eventual growth after moving out and marrying Bernadette. Even after Carol and Susie's passing, the show gave Mrs. Wolowitz a heartfelt goodbye that resonated with fans. She was more than a punchline. She was the hidden emotional core of Howard's journey. 5. Priya Koothrappali, RT Man. Raj's sister Priya often gets hate from fans, largely because she came between Leonard and Penny. However, if you look beyond the romance drama, Priya was one of the few recurring characters who challenged Leonard intellectually and personally. Why underrated? Priya was ambitious, confident, and unwilling to compromise her goals. While her relationship with Leonard was flawed, she wasn't portrayed as a villain, just someone who knew her worth. In many ways, Priya highlighted Leonard's own indecisiveness and longing for comfort over challenge. She could have been fleshed out as a character in her own right rather than being framed solely as an obstacle to Lenny. 6. Bert Kibbler, the geologist. The group loved to mock geology as a lesser science, but Josh Breener's Bert Kibbler made that running joke delightfully absurd. Tall, socially awkward, and endearingly earnest, Bert was desperate for friendship and validation. Why underrated? Bert's episodes were often hilarious, but they also highlighted the snobbery within the group. His genuine kindness contrasted with Sheldon's arrogance, making audiences root for him even when the main cast didn't. His late series romance subplot and interactions with Raj proved he was more than a one-note gag. 7. George Cooper Sr., young Sheldon. On The Big Bang Theory, George Sr. was portrayed mostly through Sheldon's bitter memories, an alcoholic father who disappointed his family. But young Sheldon reimagined George in a far more nuanced light. Lance Barber's performance brings depth to a man juggling work, marriage struggles, and fatherhood under pressure. Why underrated? George's arc in young Sheldon reframes the entire Cooper family dynamic. He isn't perfect, but he's deeply human, a man who loves his kids yet feels trapped by circumstances. This portrayal challenges the caricature version from Sheldon's stories, proving how memory and perspective can distort reality. 8. Mandy McAllister. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Mandy, introduced late in young Sheldon, became a breakout character in the Georgie spin-off. Played by Emily Osment, Mandy is sarcastic, independent, and far more grounded than Georgie. Her banter with him provides humor, but her struggles as a young mother add weight to the spin-off's premise. Why underrated? Mandy is often overshadowed by Sheldon's childhood stories, but she represents a fresh perspective in the franchise. Her relationship with Georgie explores themes of responsibility, compromise, and building a family under less than ideal circumstances. She has quickly become one of the most compelling new generation characters. 9. Missy Cooper. Sheldon's twin sister, Missy, is often overlooked in both The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon. On the main show, she appeared only briefly, yet her sharp wit and ability to cut Sheldon down to size left a lasting impression. In Young Sheldon, Reagan Revord gave Missy more room to shine, portraying her as both a sarcastic sibling and a girl struggling with being overshadowed. Why underrated? Missy represents what it's like to live in Sheldon's orbit without the same genius label. Her perspective humanizes the Cooper family and grounds the narrative in ways Sheldon cannot. Fans have been clamoring for even more focus on Missy, proving her hidden importance. 10. Barry Kripke. A rude, nasal-voiced physicist who often bullied Sheldon, Kripke seemed like nothing more than comic relief. But John Ross Bowie gave him a strange charm that made him unforgettable. His rivalry with Sheldon brought out some of the funniest moments in the series, particularly their sabotaged experiments and insults. Why underrated? Kripke was more than a villain, he was a mirror to Sheldon. Both were brilliant, arrogant, and socially inept, but Kripke leaned into mischief rather than isolation. The show never gave him a redemption arc or deeper storyline, but his presence was crucial in keeping the Caltech world from feeling too insular. The Big Bang Theory universe has always thrived on its ensemble, but too often the spotlight stayed fixed on its core 7. Characters like Beverly, Stuart, and Missy remind us that the side players are just as vital in fleshing out the world. Whether through heartbreak, humor, or hidden depth, these underrated characters made the show's world feel larger, funnier, and more real. With spin-offs like Young Sheldon and Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, there's hope that even more overlooked characters will finally get their time to shine. Because if The Big Bang Theory taught us anything, it's that even the so-called supporting players can end up stealing the show. Would you like me to also create a ranked version of this with pros and cons for each character, or keep it more narrative like this draft?